Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Easton Library Community Book Chat. I'm thrilled to welcome today's guest, which is Easton's own author, Elise Broach. Elise, hi, thanks for being here.
Hi, Kristine. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to support the library.
Oh, thank you so much. That's wonderful. So how have you been doing during all this, these very unusual times? Has your work been different?
You would think because I work from home as a writer that it would have stayed seamlessly the same through all this. But actually, I think the news has been so distracting, and it has a lot of my work during the year is school visits. And I also teach a college creative writing class up at Yale. So all of that has changed. I'm not traveling around the country to do school visits. My seminar at Yale has been postponed to next fall when it'll be in person, I hope. So I'm excited about that. But no, it should have given me just oceans of time for writing. But we've had, my adult kids have been cycling in and out of the house working remotely, and which has been wonderful, but there have been a lot of distractions.
Yeah, and I think from everyone I've spoken to, it's hard to get motivated also.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think somehow when you have worlds of time, like, your whole day could be spent writing, somehow for me, structure is much better.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing that I only have 3 hours, I tend to be much more productive than when I get up in the morning. It's like, well, there's literally nothing on the calendar today. So I don't have much excuse. I've been better this summer, but honestly, when the pandemic hit, the first few months, I was really not getting much done at all.
Yeah, that's so understandable. I mean, everyone is, I think, feeling very similarly, but, thank you so much for your books because they are wonderful.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I really love what I do, so I feel very lucky to be in this field.
Oh, that's great. So you chose a book that sounds really super interesting. It's Sea Wife.
Yes.
By Amity Gage.
Amity Gage, exactly.
It's a new book. It's out just this year.
Yep.
And you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, and I have my copy too. I'm so glad the library has it. So I love to read literary fiction. I read a ton of books. I mean, that has been the one gift of all this time is I'm reading so many things, and most of them from the Easton Public Library. I can show you what I took out just in the last couple of weeks. But this book is, I would call it almost a literary suspense novel. And the premise is, it's told in two voices, a husband and wife. The wife is telling the story looking back on the events of the past year, and the husband's voice is through the log of a ship, of a yacht that they purchased for a sailing trip, basically down from Panama along South America and up into the Caribbean with their two very young children. So I'm not a sailor. I'm not actually at all interested in life on the seas, but this idea of having a sudden break from your ordinary life and just going off on this adventure, it was a great book to read during the pandemic and during quarantine because it has wonderful descriptions of, islands and South America and Central America. But it is at heart a story of a marriage and a story of a family trying to do this really unusual thing, just, step out of their ordinary roles and their ordinary life and go embark on this adventure. And what do they figure out about themselves, about each other, about their relationships through that story? So the suspense part of it comes in because we know from the very beginning, from the first line of the book, I think it opens with the line, "Where does a mistake begin?" And the narrator, who is the wife, Juliet, is saying, did it begin with the voyage? Did it begin with the purchase of the boat? Did it begin with the marriage? Like, you're really wondering how far back does it go? And so we know from the very first chapter that something goes terribly wrong on this voyage, but we don't know what it is. And we know that Juliet has survived, but either the husband has left or something happened to the husband, we don't know. So that creates the thread of tension or suspense that runs through the story. But it's very well written. It's escapist adventure because you get to go to all these exotic places with these two, this husband and wife and their young children. But it's also really thoughtful about family relationships, about Juliet's relationship with her parents, about parenting. She's parenting young kids, about childhood, and most essentially about the marriage. So I thought it was a really good read. I've recommended it. I've recommended it to so many friends, and my friends are really diverse readers. They like different kinds of things, and everybody to one has really liked the book and has ripped through it. So even, you know, as I said, none of us are sailors, but it has some nautical terms, but that part of the story is pretty easy to skim past if you're not interested in it, but you still get the pleasure of the adventure. And just honestly, the pleasure of these really lyrical, beautiful sentences and psychological insights that I enjoyed a lot.
I love that. I mean, I want to read it for sure, but I kind of like the idea too that they're like, for lack of a better word, quarantined together.
Yes. Yes.
So,
yes, exactly.
I mean, we're all living kind of not the same situation, because unfortunately we're not, you know, going to all these, you know, ports of call that are beautiful, but you know, that part is kind of
it's similar. You're exactly right. That sense of being sort of trapped, but also being forced to reevaluate your whole world, because now you have to pay attention to very different things, and your range of activities is circumscribed and limited, but it's also opened up in a new way, which I think is also true of quarantine. Like, I've been doing really different things, you know, during quarantine, like hiking much more than I ever did before. So you kind of choose the small things that you're able to do, and you start focusing on those and even celebrating them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just another great way to look at things and to sort of help make it a little easier for us.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
But that book sounds fantastic. And what kind of books do you like to read generally? You said you like to read literary fiction mostly?
Yeah, I love literary fiction. I love short stories like Alice Munro, where there've been so many good, I'm trying to think what I got recently from you guys. Oh, I love memoir. Let me show you what I've had from the Easton Library. These are all my Easton Library books. So this is what I'm reading right now, Comfort Me with Apples. This is Ruth Reichel, and this is the actual Easton Library edition here. And I also got this memoir, which is on your new fiction shelf. This is called The Dragons, the Giant, the Women. And this is, it's a memoir by Waitu Moore. She grew up in Liberia, in war-torn Liberia, and then immigrated to Texas. And so it's a story of her childhood life in Africa during a terrible time of unrest, and then her adjustment to living in the United States before she returns to Africa. So so I mean, you guys, the Easton Library, I have to say, I'm going to give you a little plug here, but you do a great job of having really well-reviewed current fiction and memoir. So it's been great. I mean, quarantine has been wonderful for the extra time to read. The other thing I read recently that I think I mentioned to you was, and you guys, the library also has this Susan Choi Trust Exercises, really interesting literary fiction, kind of tricky. The first section of the book, it's in two parts. The first section is written from the perspective of one character, and then a different character takes over the story and tells it in a completely different way. So you're wondering, the trust exercise of the title is, well, what do you believe? Who's telling the truth?
Oh, that sounds great too.
Yeah, really good. And it's short. I like short books. I'm a little bit of a sucker for a short, well-told story. Yeah. So I think it's partly why I like picture books and I like writing picture books, is that idea that you can just get into the novel and immerse yourself and not lose track of anything, because you know, it's not so long that, you know, it's not some epic saga. So Trust Exercise is just a short, good read. Yeah,
that's great. Speaking of picture books, this is my copy of one of my family's all-time favorites.
When dinosaurs came with everything.
Oh, it's
thank you for reading it.
Oh, but I mean, that's like, I have 3 kids and we're big readers, and we've all, you know, when they were little, we used to read to them all the time. So that is definitely still sitting home. We have bookshelves still with picture books, like the special ones that we really love, that we keep. And yeah, I love that one. And the
thank you so much.
David Small did also are beautiful.
Oh, amazing. Oh, he's so gifted, such a gifted illustrator. Yeah, I mean, I've been very lucky in my illustrators in general, but he just knocked it out of the park with that book. I loved his art for that story.
Yeah, it's a fabulous book. So are you working on anything right now?
Am I working on anything right now? I am. I'm working on a bunch of things, but I just finished revisions on a novel called Duet. That's the working title. I don't know if that'll stay, but it is a classical music mystery. So it has, the narrator is a bird. It's sort of similar to, I have a couple of my books here, but my book, Masterpiece had as its main character a beetle. It was a friendship between a beetle and a little boy solving an art mystery. So in my book Duet, it is a musically gifted bird and a piano playing boy who are solving a classical music mystery. And the classical music mystery is this mystery of Chopin's lost piano, which is a real historical mystery. Some of his pianos have been found, but this one that he composed some of his most famous works on has never been found. So in the story, the bird and the boy are trying to find this lost piano.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Thank you. It was so much fun to write. Honestly, writing from a bird's perspective, like flying and singing, was just really fun. So that's, and then my most recent book that came out this spring, which I just will mention because it was kind of set in Easton. So it's the first book I've done that was really so influenced by Silverman's Farm and the local apple picking and the hiking trails I go on. It's called A Trip to the Country for Marvin and James. And it's the early chapter book series based on the Masterpiece characters. But in this one, James goes out of the city with Marvin the Beetle, and they go to a town very like Easton, and they have some country adventures. So that just came out this spring.
It's so great.
Thank you.
I love it. Well, See Wife, haha, is available here at the Easton Library. Anybody can check it out. We have it in book form, and you can just hit the search the catalog button on the website to find it and check it out and bring it home. And yeah, I definitely want to read it too.
Good. I hope you like it. I think you really will.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, just even like I said, I just read that opening flap and it gripped
you.
Yeah, it really. Yeah. Well, Elise, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, Kristine. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this. And to everybody, keep reading, keep healthy, and I hope we all come through this, with books on our shelves and a different appreciation for the world, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that is like that will definitely happen. I think everyone, how we see things and appreciate things, totally changed.
Yes, yes, I think so too.
Well, this has been so great, and thank you to the Easton Library and to Elise Broach and to everybody for watching. And have a great day and stay safe.
Stay safe. Thank you. Keep reading.
Yeah,
bye.
Keep reading.